Hello and welcome to a first in a series of collabs that we're going to start doing on our channel. We have done quite a few collabs on other people's channel. They have been nice enough to include us. However, we haven't done too many on this channel. I think only like one, maybe two. Not a whole lot, and it's been like over a year. So today we are doing a top 5, and we are doing this with Noelle at Critical Flick. And this is going to be a top 5 battle over what our favorite movies are from the year we were born. And Noelle was also born in 1991. We were born in 1991. So we're doing all movies from 1991.
So let's start this list off. We're going to toss it over to Noelle, and she's going to kick off our top 5.
Hey, it's Noelle from Critical Flick. Thanks to TheBSReview for allowing me to collab with them. I'm really excited to do this. Today, we're going to be talking about our top 5 1991 movies. I was born in 1991. And so we're going to go down a little list. So my number 5 is going to be Terminator 2. I know that might be a little shocking in that some people might have that higher on their list, but I watched this movie like a long time ago, and I had to like refresh my memory a little bit. And one of the things that stands out is that it is one of the best sequels to a franchise that's been put out into theaters and out there. It's one of the best sci-fi movies of its time. This movie is also directed by James Cameron, who also did the sequel to Alien, so he really knows how to perfect sequel movies. Arnold's also great in the movie. You know, you can never go wrong with little Arnold, you know, doing his thing.
Terminator 2 is a great choice to kick off this top 5. Now, for my 5, I went in a slightly different direction in that I picked, like, my favorite movies. So
if you have not been to a top 5 before, we do not share our list with each other before we film. Now, in the future, we're going to have this top 5 kind of a live conversation between the person we collab with, but due to logistical reasons, we couldn't do that with Noelle this time. So normally, we're not going to know each other's choices. So I don't know what Steven's choices are. He doesn't know mine. That's what is part of the fun of the top 5.
yeah, and my strategy going into this one is to pick my favorite movies from the year 1991. And so fight me in the comments about these, but these are all amazing movies, and I will gladly argue with you. But that leads to my choice. And number 5 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secrets of the Ooze.
Oh, wow. I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's like a childhood favorite of mine. And that movie, you've never even seen it?
I don't think so. Is it animated?
No, it's
Oh.
live action.
I don't think I've ever seen the second one.
It's so good. In fact, I like it better than the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it's such a fun movie that we should go watch it, like, today.
We don't have time. So my number 5 pick is probably one that a lot of people have not heard of, and that is Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. So if you don't know what this movie is, I've explained it to you before, you just don't remember the title. So this is about a girl who does horse diving. So literally goes up to the top of like this bit. It was a thing back in the day, and she does horse diving, and it's kind of to get over like some traumatic things that happen in her life. I don't remember 100% of the little details of the plot, but I just remember absolutely loving this movie. I was totally a horse person growing up because I went to my aunt's house every summer, and she had horses, so it was my thing. But it's a great movie. Highly recommend. It's very emotional.
Real fast, what is horse diving?
Horse diving. You literally take a horse to the top of a dive thing, and you dive into a deep pool with a horse.
What?
I've explained this to you before. You don't
That's
remember
crazy.
this? We
Nope.
need to watch
Okay,
it.
we have to watch it.
Maybe we'll do it. You haven't seen video on
That's
it.
nuts.
It's fine.
My number 4 is going to be Father the Bride. I love this movie. It's a classic Steve Martin movie. It's a great family flick, and Diane Keaton also stars in it. And I don't know, it's just one of those nostalgia type movies for me because I used to watch this when I was little with my mom, and it's just like one of our go-to movies we used to watch. And I just love the whole, like, getting the whole marriage part in the movie, and they're like big white perfect house, and they're trying to throw this, you know, wedding for their daughter. It's a great family flick, and I really enjoyed that movie.
Okay, so Father of the Bride almost made it on my list, but it didn't quite. But it is a great movie from 1991.
You're such a Steve Martin head, too.
I love Steve Martin. So my number 4 pick is Hook. And like I said, this is based off of pure enjoyment. I know that this one didn't have like the best reviews, which baffles me because it's fantastic. And if you don't think so, you're wrong. But it's great and it's fantastical. And if you haven't seen it, it's a Peter Pan retelling kind of thing where Peter Pan has grown up and then goes back because his kids get kidnapped by Hook. And it's great and has a great cast.
So my number 4 pick is An American Tale, Fievel Goes West.
This was so close to making it on
I
my
know.
list.
This was such another childhood favorite of mine. I've seen this movie probably like 100 times.
It's so good.
It was one of those that when I was a kid, just rewatched it over and over again, and I love it. Had to go on my list.
Because that's the second one, right?
Yes,
I
it's
think
the
that's one
second
of
one.
those few cases where the second one is far superior to the first one. I'm seeing a theme with your list.
Yeah, you're gonna. Yeah, there's a theme.
This might be the more controversial of my top 5. At number 3, I have Hook. So this movie's not, had the greatest critical reception, but there's this movie, I just remember watching this when I was a kid and just loving it. I love, like, when he's going, Robin Williams' character goes back to Neverland, and there's like that great like scene where they're believing that there's this food in front of them, and they're eating it, and I just love that part. The movie now, looking back, I can see why people didn't really like it. It is long for a kids movie, but Robin Williams is so good in it, and it's just a classic. I just like it. It was also directed by Steven Spielberg, and he just some that 80s 90s he just knew how to put out some decent flicks. So. He's good. So
Noelle and I have similar tastes.
Hook is a solid choice, but it's not on my list because I actually hadn't even seen that movie until, was it? I guess I saw it.
It was like a year or two ago.
Yeah, I guess so. So it's pretty good, but it doesn't deserve a spot on my list. Now, my number 3 pick is a weird one. So this one is actually Once Upon a Time in China. It is one of Jet Li's very first films. They ended up making like 7 of these, but the very first one came out this year. And so I feel like a lot of people have seen Jet Li movies, but they haven't seen like Once Upon a Time in China. And that was one of the first like Western like films that started to like pick up for him, that kind of spawned his long career of martial arts films. And it's a great martial arts movie. It's a lot of fun. Go check it out if you haven't seen it.
I've never seen it. My number 3 pick is The Addams Family, because I love this movie with all my heart. Morticia and Gomez Addams are couples goals forever and ever, amen. And I just love them. And it's a great, fun kids movie. The second one is also great, but the first one is the one that came out in 1991.
He's good. So my number 2 is going to be Silence of the Lambs. That movie is just a classic thriller, horror / flick. It is just great from start to finish. Anthony Hopkins is a great, like, creepy killer. There's some really standout scenes in it as well. Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins have great scenes portrayed on film, and every time people refer to this, like, they refer to some of the scenes in this movie because they were just so great, greatly executed, and it's just one of the best horror flicks, I feel like. Won 5 Oscars that year it came out, won for Best Picture, so it is out there. It's one of the top-rated movies of all time. People always look back at it, and it's just great. It's just keeps you on your feet the whole time. Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster, and the director also won for this flick, so it's an all-around well-rounded movie, and that's actually very rarely happens nowadays, where a whole like cast and movie win. So I think that's pretty cool. And now,
So me and Noelle had the same choice for number 2 is Silence of the Lambs. So good choice, Noelle. She said it all. This movie is intense. It's great. It's a lot of fun. Was not a childhood favorite of mine, but an adult favorite.
I have not actually seen this until, what was it, last year?
Yeah, it was last
Steven
year.
made me watch it. I think it was during Halloween. Did we watch it during our
Yeah.
Halloween? Yeah. It's good, but I don't have the, like, nostalgia with it, so...
It's just such a good movie.
I mean, I agree.
It's so good.
But it didn't make my top 5. So my number 2 pick is probably one of my top 2 favorite movies of all time, and that is Fried Green Tomatoes. This is actually a book as well, so it was a book and then adapted into a movie, but I saw the movie for years and years and years before I ever read the book, and it's just fantastic. It's one of those movies that makes you cry, and I love movies like that. And
It's a good movie.
It's so good, and if you have not checked it out, I highly, highly recommend.
Which, personal story, we actually almost went to the Fried Green Tomatoes, but
It's in Georgia. The
In
place
Georgia.
where they filmed it, the cafe, they actually have a functioning cafe there now. And we didn't know about it till we were driving back from where we were vacationing, and it was closed!
Yep, they were closed, and if we had known, we would have made it part of our trip. It was so sad, but we almost made it there.
cool. And now my number number one is going to be Beauty and the Beast. I've already talked about this on our channel, Critical Flick, but this movie is just great. I love this movie from start to finish. It came out the year I was born, which I'm pretty proud to say that it did, and I just love it. It was the first 2D animation to include 3D, and it was nominated for a couple awards, and I believe it won for Best Song. The story, the Beast and Belle, it's just so great and wonderful. Now, you know, looking back at it now, there's some little stuff in the cartoon movie I wish they had a little filler and just filled in some spots that were missing. But the story, I mean, the music, just everything. It's just a great movie, and I always rewatch that movie over and over again because that's probably one of my favorite Disney animated films of all time. So it has to be at my number one, and that is my top 5 list of movies from 1991. Again, I just want to say a special thanks to TheBSReview for including me in this collaboration, and I can't wait to hear y'all's top 5. Yeah, bye!
Beauty and the Beast I did consider for mine, but it's not my favorite Disney movie, so like I enjoy it, and as a bookworm I relate to Belle, but not one of my top 5. So my number one pick is also one that people like never hear of when I recommend it to them, and it baffles me so much, and that is Oscar.
I knew this was going to be on your list.
If you like comedy and you like Sylvester Stallone, I know it's a weird combo, but you should watch this movie. It's a mob movie, kind of ish, and I don't like mob movies. Like, everything about this movie's premise I don't like, but I love this movie. And Sylvester Stallone is kind of this, like, mob boss guy, and he's got, like, daughters who are in their, like, late teens, early 20s, and they're all trying to, like, get married and shit, and just hilarity ensues, and it is one of my top, like, comedies of all time.
It is a pretty hilarious movie. This is another one that she introduced me to because it's like a very popular film in her family, and I'd never even heard of it, so it's worth your time. So my number one pick is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Yeah, Noelle put this at number 5, but this was number 1 for me. I think it's the best movie that came out in 1991, in my opinion. This action film, it's like the perfect action movie, in my opinion. It has everything. And that's all there is to say about it. It's great.
Okay, so I'm not super savvy on my Terminator movies. Is this the one where he, like, falls into the thing at the end?
Yes, this is the one with in the lava at the end where he gives the thumbs up. And plus you have the mom in it, and I think she's so important you were missing her in number 3, and it's a little more dynamic than number 1. It's a lot more fun, and for all the problems I have with James Cameron as a filmmaker, he knows how to do sequels well, and he knows how to make big action movies.
So that wraps up our top 5s from 1991. Thank you, Noelle, so much for collabing with us on this. We were very excited to do so. Your picks were great. It was fun to like see our differences in all of our lists. And make sure you guys let us know what your favorite movies from either 1991 or the year you were born down in the comments. We would love to know.
And make sure you check out Critical Flick. We will put their link in the description. They are a great channel. Go check them out.
They're another married couple who do movie reviews, and they're fantastic. We love them.
If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like. It really helps us out. And click subscribe as well. Go subscribe to Critical Flick. We both make a lot of movie content, and it's a lot of fun. And we have a ton of different videos you guys should check out. If you want to see some of those, you can click right over there. And we'll see you next time.